Welcome back everybody, it is your boy Matt Turner, back again with another video. Here on my channel, I like to talk about fitness content, do product reviews, and document my transition as a black trans man. If any of those things interest you, I highly encourage you guys to hit the subscribe button down below so you guys can stay up to date on when I post videos. But without further ado, let's get into today's topic. So as you guys can probably tell by the title, as well as the fact that I recently asked this on my community post, I asked you guys what you wanted to see for next week's video, and you guys were super into the idea of me discussing my experience with SARMs. This series, it will be two parts. I will be going over what SARMs actually are, as well as what my experience with them was. This first part will be mainly over what SARMs actually is, just because it's very important in understanding that when taking into account my story, as well as it's just very good for basic general knowledge, especially if you are deep into fitness, or you are really into bodybuilding, or you're just, you really like the idea of understanding a lot of knowledge about a lot of different things. This will be the video for you. SARM stands for Selective Androgen Receptor Modulator. They have been around since the 1940s, and they were heavily used in obviously the fitness industry. However, like with most steroids, SARMs were created to prevent muscle wasting diseases such as osteoporosis, heart failure, and cancer, among a ton of other things. To really get an understanding of what SARMs actually are and what they do, I will be breaking down this term all the way down. So to start, let's jump into what an androgen is. So an androgen is a hormone responsible for the maintenance and development of male characteristics. They can be found in both females and males, but vary in level, with females generally requiring less. Examples of androgens are things such as testosterone, androstenedione. When you look up on Google, you can find a variety of different types of androgens. However, the most popular ones that most people know about is going to be testosterone. It's what trans men use. In fact, if you look up androgen, for whatever reason, they felt it was very important that you know that transgender men use androgens. So moving on though, what are exactly receptors? So receptors are chemical structures composed of protein that receive and transduce signals that may be integrated into biological systems. In basic layman's terms, that basically means that they receive information from other chemicals and then translate it into something that the body understands to induce a response. There are a variety of different receptors. You have androgen receptors, you have protein receptors. Just about anything in your body has a kind of receptor because they all need to communicate with each other. So we know what an androgen is, we know what receptors are. SARMs are specifically, though, receptor modulators. A modulator is basically just a general term for a substance, whether it is endogenous or exogenous, meaning basically it is native to the internal or the external body, that binds to and regulates the activity of chemical receptors. Basically, it's a substance that will transform how that receptor is responding. So when you put all of this together, SARMs are chemicals that change and regulate the receptors on androgens to cause anabolic, muscle building, cellular activity. Basically, this just means that by taking it, it will induce, again, it was created for muscle wasting disease, so it will induce a response that increases muscle mass, specifically lean tissue, not necessarily muscle, but lean tissue overall. And of course, these results happen at a faster rate than what your natural anabolic cellular activity can handle. Basically build muscle faster. So obviously all of this sounds very amazing. However, there are some drawbacks to using SARMs, as with any type of steroid, including testosterone, such as trans men take. There will be two parts to this: the SARMs, the side effects of SARMs in of themselves, and then SARMs compared to actual steroids. And I'll kind of probably mix both of them in there just because there's not too much to actually say on this part. I want to make it very, very clear that currently the effects of SARMs on the human body are not completely known. In this regard, they are actually worse for you than using actual steroids. So things like Anavar, testosterone, Tren, T-ball, all of the kind of well-known extreme steroids are actually in the long term probably more safe to use than actual SARMs, simply due to the fact that we know more about them. There are more ways to combat the effects of them, whereas SARMs, we are still very, very, very unclear about the long-term effects of them on the human body, and also how the actual effects will show up in of themselves. They vary greatly depending on the person. Some people will use SARMs and go straight into anaphylactic shock. Some people will only break out into mild cases of things like hives. The effects are not very, very well known, but a very general list is they will suppress your natural production of testosterone. Most people don't think this is what SARMs will do. This was actually one of the biggest reasons for people to move away from steroids to SARMs, is because of the fact that they thought that they didn't suppress your natural production of testosterone. However, that is untrue. You do need to do what is known as a PCT, a post-cycle therapy, to ensure that your natural production of testosterone does not shut down with it. If your natural production of testosterone does shut down due to SARMs, you can actually end up having to be required to use something like HRT. They do a lot of damage on your organs, specifically your liver. When you are taking things like SARMs, you actually need to do a ton of extra supplements in addition to them, things like milk thistle, things like NAC, just to ensure that the damage that they are doing to your liver and other organs is not necessarily as extreme as with things such as steroids, because of the form in which you take them. SARMs are ingested directly into your system, whereas some steroids are done as injections. So the way that they affect your body will be different, as well as to different levels. Like I said before, you can go into anaphylactic shock due to just being allergic to the solution that it is in. You can find difficulty breathing. You can break out into hives. Some people will get extreme cases of acne. Actually, there have been very, very, very bad pictures of people who have used SARMs and have just completely broken out into nasty hives, nasty hives. So there are actual side effects with using SARMs, and they are not light cases. In all intents and purposes, you would actually be safer using steroids, like normal steroids, such as, like I said before, testosterone, Anavar, Tren, T-ball, using any one of those over SARMs. Before we go any further, I did want to just pause the video very quickly and explain. I am not saying that testosterone, Tren, or T-ball are not extreme substances to be taking. They are extreme steroids. I would highly never suggest that anyone start off with these steroids. I'm just basically stating in terms of problems and issues, and going with the side of science and understanding the side effects, that any one of these stronger extremely stronger steroids would almost undoubtedly be safer than taking something like SARMs. But again, I am not saying that anyone should start out with testosterone or Tren or T-ball. There's also just the fact that the muscle gains that you will get compared to something like a more standard steroid over using something like a SARM is that your gains will not necessarily be as drastic. This is where this fake natty term comes from, due to the fact that your gains will look relatively normal paced for someone who is natural, but not as extreme as someone who is on something like testosterone or tren. There are also varying intensities of SARMs, so depending on which one you get will also determine the side effects that you have or the gains that you have. Ostrine, for example, is a very kind of mild, very weak SARM. While there are sellers on the market, most of these sellers cannot be actually trusted, even though they will give you data showing the test results of the different chemicals that they have. They still cannot be completely trusted. You do not ever actually know exactly what is within the SARMs that you are getting. You could literally be getting like bath soap and you would not necessarily know. And obviously the fact that in the United States they are still illegal to be used outside of experimentation on anything outside of a human. So yes, in the end, honestly, if the sound of SARMs is very, very scary, I highly suggest not looking into PEDs at all. If you're not very serious about packing on a ton of mass and just really becoming a giant kind of bodybuilding freak, you probably should steer away from PEDs in general, just because all of them have side effects. All of them will damage your body to some extent. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying, and you should run away as far as possible from them. But again, definitely do your own research. If you are interested in learning more about the different types of PEDs there are, I highly suggest looking up More Plates for More Dates, Johnny Shreve. Greg Doucette is all right. His older videos are better. His newer ones are more focused on just kind of explaining natty or nots and who is and who isn't. Ryan Ankrom is another person that I would highly suggest everybody look into. But yes, guys, that is SARMs 101. If you enjoyed this information, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you guys can stay up to date on when I post videos. If you are interested in any fitness content from me, hit me up at Morgan7551 on my Instagram account, or if you are just interested in maybe hiring me as a personal trainer, you can check that out too. Or you can visit my fitness website, where I post blogs for basically just about anybody to use, all going over fitness. If you're a beginner, they can definitely help you. I show you how to get completely started inside your fitness journey in those blogs. A lot of them are backed up by scientific data and a lot of professionals currently in the industry, so you can definitely trust that information. But as usual, always do your own research. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but as you guys know, it is your boy. Wow, I'm stumbling all over myself. Whew. As you guys know, it is your boy Matt Turner. I hope you guys have a great morning, evening, day, or night, wherever you are, and I will see you guys in part 2.